You wouldn't believe what went down last night. The kind of drama that makes your jaw drop and your phone light up with notifications the second it hits social media. Rasheeda was supposed to be having a quiet evening at home, sipping her wine, scrolling through her messages. Maybe catching up on a show or two, but fate had other plans. It all started with a single text from Jasmine. And honey, you already know that when Jasmine texts, trouble follows. You need to sit down. The message read, simple, but loaded. Rasheeda felt a shiver run down her spine. She knew Jasmine didn't ever say something like that without a reason. And in her heart, she already guessed that whatever was coming next wasn't good. She paced her living room, phone in hand, trying to steady her nerves. And then the call came. It was Jasmine, her voice calm but her words slicing through the air like a knife. Rasheeda, it's about Kendra. And Kirk. Rasheeda froze. She knew instantly that her life was about to turn upside down. The calm, collected exterior she had been holding onto for weeks was about to crumble. Her mind raced, thinking of all the possibilities, but deep down, she already feared the worst. What do you mean? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady, though her chest felt tight. Jasmine didn't answer right away. She let the silence hang. And in that pause, Rasheeda felt every scenario flash through her mind. She imagined betrayals, arguments, secrets she never wanted to uncover. Finally, Jasmine spoke. Kendra, she was in Kirk's hotel room last weekend. The words hit her like a thunderclap. She couldn't breathe for a second. The wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor, sparkling like little stars of chaos across the tiles. Her knees felt weak. Her hands trembled. What? No. That's impossible, she stammered. Though somewhere deep inside, she felt the sting of truth. Jasmine continued, calm and almost smug. I didn't want to tell you, Rasheeda, but someone had to. And I think you deserve to know before it spreads anywhere else. Rasheeda's thoughts spun out of control. The last thing she expected was for her friend to deliver such a bombshell with such composure. Like she wasn't destroying someone's entire world with every word. As the conversation ended, Rasheeda sat in silence, staring at the fragments of her glass and the fragments of her own trust. She didn't know whether to call Kirk, confront Kendra, or just scream into a pillow until the tension left her body. But the truth had been planted, and there was no unseeing it now. The next morning, Rasheeda couldn't focus. She tried to pretend that everything was normal, made breakfast, kissed her kids, even attempted to chat with Kirk as if nothing had happened, but the air was thick, heavy with unspoken accusations. She noticed the way he avoided eye contact, the nervous shift in his tone when he spoke. She knew he knew that she knew. She decided she couldn't wait any longer. She picked up her phone, hands shaking, and called Kirk. We need to talk, she said, voice low but firm. Now. The line went quiet for a moment, then Kirk replied, Rasheeda, can we sit down and do this in person? It's complicated. No, she said, standing in the kitchen. The sunlight streaming through the window making the shards of broken glass glitter like little reminders of betrayal. It's never been more urgent. We need to settle this before it gets any worse. They agreed to meet at a quiet hotel lobby. Ironically, the very same hotel where Kendra had supposedly been. Rasheeda felt the irony bite at her, making her stomach twist. When she arrived, Kirk was already there, looking composed but tense, his hands fiddling with the edge of his jacket. She noticed his eyes flicker toward the elevator, and in that moment, she knew he had been thinking about Kendra. They sat down, a coffee table between them, acting as both shield and barrier. Rasheeda's mind raced, the words she wanted to say colliding with the emotions she was trying desperately to control. Kirk, she started, I know about Kendra. Tell me why she was in your hotel room. Kirk's face paled slightly. He opened his mouth, then closed it, searching for the right words. Rasheeda, it wasn't what it looks like. I swear. We were just talking. She needed help with something personal. And His voice trailed off, and Rasheeda felt her heart sink. She wanted to believe him, she really did. But the images, the texts, the whispers from Jasmine, all of it combined to create a storm she couldn't ignore. Emotions ran high. Voices were raised, tears were shed, and the coffee cups on the table shook with every movement. Every denial Kirk gave seemed to inflame Rasheeda's anger further. She could feel the presence of all the people who had invested in their lives, family, friends, even fans watching, judging, waiting for her to break. And break she did. I trusted you, she yelled, the words bouncing off the marble walls. How could you let this happen? How could you let her into our lives like that? Kirk reached out to calm her, but she pulled back, the mixture of hurt and fury too strong. Don't touch me, she hissed. I need space. I need to think. I need to figure out if anything we have left is real. Meanwhile, Jasmine watched from a distance, a mixture of guilt and satisfaction on her face. She knew she had started something she couldn't stop, but she also knew the truth had to come out. She didn't anticipate how explosive Rasheeda's reaction would be, how raw and public the confrontation could become. Over the next few hours, the drama spiraled. Rasheeda called her sister, her best friend, even a few of Kirk's closest confidants, trying to piece together what happened. Each conversation added more layers of tension. Some people tried to defend Kirk, some warned Rasheeda to be careful, and some simply fueled the fire with rumors and speculation. Social media had caught wind of it by now. Fans were shocked, flooding Twitter and Instagram with comments, memes, and videos analyzing every tiny gesture from the leaked footage. Hashtags began trending. Hashtag Kendragate. Hashtag Rasheeda is done. Hashtag Kirk exposed. The family was left divided, each member taking sides, some trying to mediate, others quietly stoking the flames of conflict. By the evening, Rasheeda had made a decision. She wasn't going to let this go quietly. She called an emergency meeting with her inner circle, her most trusted friends and advisors, and laid out the full story as she knew it. Everyone reacted with disbelief and concern, emotions running high as they debated what steps to take next. Should she confront Kendra directly? Should she make a public statement? Or should she wait and watch, letting the drama unfold naturally? The night ended with Rasheeda sitting alone in her living room, replaying every moment of the day over and over. The betrayal, the shock, the anger, it all swirled inside her like a storm she couldn't escape. And yet, somewhere beneath the hurt and the rage, a flicker of resolve burned. She wouldn't let this define her. She wouldn't let anyone make her feel powerless. She would face this head-on, no matter how messy, no matter how public, no matter how much it tore at the people around her. And somewhere, Jasmine and Kirk were left to wonder, had they underestimated Rasheeda's strength? Had they truly thought this secret could stay hidden? As the night grew darker, the tension thicker, one thing was clear. The storm had only just begun, and no one was safe from the fallout. The morning after the confrontation felt like a different world. Rasheeda woke up with a pounding headache, a mix of anger, betrayal, and exhaustion swirling in her chest. She hadn't slept well, tossing and turning all night, replaying Kirk's words, Jasmine's revelation, Kendra's imagined expressions. She knew today would be critical. One wrong move, one misstep, and everything could spiral even further. She started her day by calling her sister Rasheeda's loyal supporter, who had been her rock through every drama, every setback, every heartbreak. Rasheeda's loyal supporter, Rasheeda said, her voice cracking just a little. I don't know how to handle this. I feel like my whole world is upside down. What if he lied? What if it's worse than I think? Rasheeda's loyal supporter paused, her tone measured but firm. Rasheeda, you know your strength. Whatever happens, we face it together. Don't let anyone make you question your worth. The truth will come out, and when it does, you'll know exactly who's on your side. Reassured slightly, Rasheeda took a deep breath. She knew she needed a strategy, and she knew the clock was ticking. Social media was already buzzing, rumors spreading faster than wildfire. Fans were dissecting every photo, every comment, every glance from the previous night. Hashtag Kendragate. Hashtag Rasheeda is done. Hashtag Kirk exposed. The tags kept multiplying. The family was being pulled in every direction, some defending Kirk, some defending Rasheeda, some simply waiting to see who would break first. Rasheeda decided it was time to confront Kendra directly. She called her, her fingers trembling as she typed out a message that could change everything. Kendra, we need to talk, face to face. It's time to clear the air. She hit send and waited, her heart racing. Within minutes, Kendra replied, fine. When they agreed to meet at a quiet cafe downtown, far from cameras, far from prying eyes. When Rasheeda arrived, Kendra was already there, her posture confident, a small, almost imperceptible smile on her lips. Rasheeda's anger flared, but she forced herself to sit, to listen, to gather the facts before letting her emotions take over. Rasheeda, Kendra began, voice calm, you have to understand. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Yes, I was in Kirk's room, but it wasn't what you think. Rasheeda's eyes narrowed. Then tell me. Because everything looks like betrayal. Everything feels like lies. Why were you there? Kendra leaned back, taking a deep breath. He called me. He said he needed help. Something personal. I didn't want to go, but he insisted. It was just a conversation, Rasheeda. Nothing more. You have to believe me. Rasheeda's mind raced. Memories of the night, the rumors, the texts from Jasmine, all colliding. Part of her wanted to scream, to yell, to throw her coffee cup across the room. Part of her wanted to believe Kendra. The tension was unbearable. You expect me to just trust you? After everything? After what Jasmine told me? Kendra's eyes softened. I'm not asking you to trust me blindly. I'm asking you to hear me. To see that not everything is as dramatic as it seems. If you let this destroy you, it's exactly what they want. Don't give them that power. Rasheeda felt a flicker of doubt. Could Kendra really be telling the truth? Or was this another layer of deception designed to confuse her further? The cafe felt like a pressure cooker. Every movement, every glance loaded with suspicion. Meanwhile, word of their meeting leaked. Fans were already speculating online. Some believed Kendra's explanation. Some sided completely with Rasheeda. Some thought both women were overreacting. The tension online mirrored the tension in the room, and Rasheeda felt like she was living inside a storm that had no end. After hours of heated conversation, neither woman fully resolved the issue, but a fragile truce was formed. They agreed to step back, to let the truth sort itself out. Rasheeda left the cafe with a mixture of relief and lingering doubt. She knew this was just the beginning, that the real storm was still ahead. As the day went on, Rasheeda's phone buzzed relentlessly. Texts from friends, family, and even strangers poured in. Some offered support, others judgment. Some tried to stir the pot even further. The emotional roller coaster was relentless. And Rasheeda felt the weight of every eye on her, every opinion, every whispered rumor. In the evening, she returned home to find Kirk waiting. The tension in the room was palpable, the air thick with unspoken words. He looked at her, searching for a way to bridge the chasm that had opened between them. Rasheeda, we need to talk, he said quietly. Rasheeda's eyes blazed. Talk. After everything. After the lies, the secrecy, the betrayal. Kirk reached out, but she stepped back. Don't. Just don't. I need to know the truth. All of it. No excuses. And so he began to speak, slowly, carefully, explaining every detail, every conversation, every moment that led to Kendra being in that hotel room. Emotions ran high, voices rose and fell, tears streamed, and yet, despite the chaos, Rasheeda felt a small part of her understanding the complexity, the human errors, the tangled web of friendships, loyalty, and mistakes. Hours later, the confrontation ended, but the emotional aftermath lingered. Rasheeda retreated to her room, reflecting on the day, the betrayals, the revelations, the twists. She knew the world would be watching, waiting for her next move, but she also knew she had to protect herself first. And while she grappled with the whirlwind inside her, Jasmine and Kendra were already strategizing, whispering behind closed doors, plotting their next moves. The drama was far from over. Outside, social media continued to buzz, fans dissecting every clip, every word, every look. The hashtags multiplied, opinions clashed, the family remained divided. And through it all, Rasheeda knew one thing. The real battle, the one that mattered most, was only just beginning. The next morning dawned gray and heavy, as if the universe itself knew that calm wouldn't last long. Rasheeda sat at her kitchen table, coffee untouched, staring out the window, replaying yesterday's confrontation over and over. Kirk's words, Kendra's explanations, Jasmine's smug little smile, all of it mingled in her mind, a chaotic storm she couldn't escape. She knew she couldn't stay silent any longer. The family, the friends, the fans, they were all waiting for her next move. Rasheeda picked up her phone, fingers hovering over the keyboard. She wanted to write a message, post something, clarify the truth, but she hesitated. Every word could ignite a new fire. Every misstep could be weaponized. She took a deep breath, reminding herself that control was the only thing left to her. She wouldn't react blindly. She would strategize. She would reclaim her narrative. Kirk, on the other hand, seemed restless. He paced their living room, phone in hand, trying to reach Rasheeda. Rasheeda, we need to talk. Please. He texted again and again. She didn't reply. Not yet. She needed space, clarity, time to breathe. The tension was suffocating. By midday, the drama escalated. Jasmine couldn't resist stirring the pot further. She called Rasheeda, feigning concern. Rasheeda, I just want to make sure you're okay, she said sweetly, though the undercurrent of mischief was palpable. Rasheeda narrowed her eyes. She knew Jasmine's games well, and she wasn't about to fall for them. I'm fine, Rasheeda said cautiously. But this has to stop, Jasmine. I can't deal with more rumors. Oh, it's not rumors anymore, sweetie. People are talking. Fans are shocked. Everyone's waiting to see how you handle Kendra, Kirk, all of it. Don't you want to be heard? Rasheeda's blood boiled. She hung up without another word, knowing full well that Jasmine's intention was to provoke her, to make her react, to give the cameras and the public more fuel. But Rasheeda had learned from yesterday, patience could be just as powerful as anger. The afternoon brought another surprise. Kendra appeared at Rasheeda's door unannounced, her posture casual but her eyes sharp, calculating. Rasheeda froze for a moment, unsure whether to slam the door or let her in. She decided on the latter, though her heart pounded in her chest. "Rasheeda, we need to figure this out," Kendra said, stepping inside. "The longer we wait, the worse it gets. We can't let Jasmine or anyone else control the story." Rasheeda's eyes blazed. "Figure it out. After everything. After the lies, the secrecy, the betrayal." Kendra held up her hands, calm but insistent. "I know it looks bad, and I know you're hurt, but we need to be smart. People are watching, opinions are forming. If we don't handle this, the drama will consume everyone." They sat, tension thick between them, discussing every detail, every possible scenario, every whisper of rumor that had spread overnight. Emotions ran high, voices rose and fell, and at times, it seemed as if the entire house might collapse under the weight of their anger and frustration. Meanwhile, Kirk paced outside, unsure whether to intervene or wait. He could hear snippets of their conversation through the slightly ajar door, and each word made him realize how deep the rift had grown. He knew apologies wouldn't fix this, explanations wouldn't suffice. And no matter how carefully he navigated the situation, he had triggered a chain reaction that couldn't be stopped. The family began to take sides. Rasheeda's loyal supporter, Rasheeda's sister, stayed by her side, supporting her through every heated exchange. Friends of Kirk rallied to defend him, highlighting every excuse, every explanation, every context that Rasheeda might have overlooked. Social media exploded in parallel. Clips, screenshots, comments, and memes circulated like wildfire. Hashtag Kendragate continued trending. Hashtag RASHEEDA is done. Hashtag Kirk exposed. Hashtag Jasmine Edel. The hashtags multiplied, each one carrying a new layer of speculation, judgment, or gossip. As the afternoon faded, Rasheeda realized she needed a plan. She couldn't allow the family to fracture further, couldn't let the fans' opinions dictate her emotions, couldn't let the storm outside mirror the storm inside. She drafted a message, carefully measured, designed to assert her perspective without fueling more drama. She paused before sending it, rereading each word, ensuring it was precise, controlled, powerful. Just as she was about to hit send, her phone rang. It was Kirk. The call made her chest tighten, but she answered. "Rasheeda, we need to be honest. All of it. No more secrets." "I'm listening," she said, voice firm, though inside, her heart raced. He began to recount every interaction, every misunderstanding, every reason Kendra had been at the hotel. The explanations were long, detailed, and emotionally charged. Rasheeda listened, anger mingling with hurt, with confusion, with fleeting moments of empathy. She could see the human errors, the misjudgments, the tangled emotions that led to this chaos. After the call, Rasheeda needed air. She stepped outside, feeling the evening breeze, letting it wash over her. She knew the confrontation wasn't over, not by a long shot. The family, the friends, the fans, even the media, they all waited for the next move. And Rasheeda, standing there alone, realized something. She had the power to control her narrative, to take back the story, to face the storm head-on. But even as she resolved to act, she knew the twists weren't finished. Whispers of new betrayals, hidden alliances, and secret agendas swirled through her mind. Jasmine, always unpredictable, could strike at any moment. Kendra, despite her assurances, might hold more secrets than she admitted. Kirk, no matter how repentant, had already damaged trust that would take time to rebuild. The night deepened, the tension thickened, and Rasheeda, standing in the quiet of her backyard, felt the weight of every eye on her. She knew the drama would continue, that each revelation would spark another, that the storm was far from over. But she also knew one thing with certainty. She wouldn't back down. She wouldn't be silenced. She would face every challenge, every confrontation, every betrayal with strength, resolve, and a fire that no rumor or secret could extinguish. As the city lights flickered around her, she realized that part of her story had already been written, but the ending, that was still hers to decide. And everyone watching, friends, family, fans, would be holding their breath for what came next. The following day brought no relief, only more tension. Rasheeda awoke to a flood of notifications, messages, and comments, the digital world buzzing like a hive of chaos. Every news outlet, every social media account, every fan page seemed to have picked up the story. Hashtag Kendragate was trending worldwide. Her phone vibrated endlessly, and each notification felt like another punch to her gut. She knew she had to act, but where to start? Every move she made would be scrutinized, dissected, and debated. Kirk had agreed to meet her in person, to lay everything out and attempt to repair the damage. But Rasheeda wasn't naive. She knew this meeting could either mend or shatter everything completely. She dressed carefully, choosing an outfit that was calm yet commanding, ready to project control even as her emotions simmered beneath the surface. The restaurant was quiet, a neutral ground far from prying eyes. Kirk arrived, his posture stiff, his eyes avoiding hers. For a moment, silence hung heavy, charged with anticipation. "Rasheeda," he began cautiously, "we need to get everything out in the open. No more half-truths." Rasheeda's jaw tightened. "Then tell me everything. Nothing left unsaid. And don't sugarcoat it." Kirk took a deep breath. Kendra was upset. She came to me needing help, emotionally. She didn't plan for this to spiral, but yes, she was there. I didn't anticipate how it would look, how it would spread. I never meant to betray you, Rasheeda. Never. Rasheeda's fingers tightened around her glass, her mind spinning. "And Jasmine, she's been feeding you her version of events, hasn't she?" Kirk hesitated, eyes flicking to the side. "Some of it, yes. She always seems to know more than she should. But Rasheeda, I need you to trust me. I want to fix this." The conversation was tense, emotions running high, voices occasionally raising and lowering like waves crashing in a storm. The waiter paused, glancing nervously as the undercurrent of anger, hurt, and frustration filled the air. Rasheeda could feel the weight of betrayal pressing down, yet part of her wanted to believe Kirk, to cling to hope amidst the chaos. Outside, the storm of social media raged. Clips of previous confrontations surfaced, screenshots of texts were shared, and every detail from the leaked footage was dissected by fans hungry for drama. The family was further divided, some defending Rasheeda, some defending Kirk, and others quietly observing, waiting to see who would crack first. After hours of heated dialogue, Rasheeda left the restaurant, exhausted, emotionally drained, but with a plan forming in her mind. She knew she had to control the narrative herself. She couldn't let Jasmine, Kendra, Kirk, or even the public dictate her next move. She returned home and immediately convened her closest allies, a private meeting with those she trusted most. She laid out her intentions, to face the drama head-on, to reclaim her story, to address the public if necessary, and to confront anyone who had undermined her trust. The room was charged with emotion. Everyone present felt the intensity of the moment, understanding the stakes were higher than ever. Meanwhile, Kendra and Jasmine were in communication, their whispers of strategy and manipulation weaving a tangled web that Rasheeda could sense but not yet fully see. The tension between all parties reached a fever pitch, each move and countermove increasing the emotional stakes. As night fell, Rasheeda sat alone, reflecting on the whirlwind of the past days. She thought about trust, loyalty, betrayal, and the fragile nature of relationships. She realized that while the public was watching, the private battles were the ones that truly mattered, and she was determined not to let anyone control her emotions, her story, or her future. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. It was a text from an unknown number. "Rasheeda, what you think you know is only half the truth. Meet me tomorrow, alone." Her heart skipped a beat. The message was cryptic, mysterious, and potentially explosive. She knew this could be a turning point, an opportunity to uncover hidden truths or fall into another trap. She stared at the screen, weighing the risks, knowing that whatever happened next could change everything. Through the night, she strategized, planned, and steeled herself for the confrontation ahead. The drama was far from over. The family, the friends, the fans, they were all waiting, holding their breath, watching every move. And Rasheeda, standing at the center of this storm, realized that she had to be bold, decisive, and unflinching. The city outside was alive with whispers, rumors, and speculation. Every light, every shadow, seemed to mirror the tension she felt inside. And as she prepared for the meeting the next day, one thought dominated her mind. Nothing, absolutely nothing, would be able to take her power away if she stayed true to herself. The morning sun broke through the blinds, casting thin stripes of light across Rasheeda's bedroom floor, but there was no warmth in the room, no sense of calm. The house was quiet, but her mind screamed louder than any noise outside. She moved through her morning routine mechanically, every step weighed down by the events of the past days. Kirk's explanations, Kendra's justifications, Jasmine's sly manipulations, they all played on repeat in her head like a relentless loop she couldn't pause. She knew today would be pivotal. Today, she needed answers, clarity, and a plan that would protect her heart and her family. Rasheeda's first call of the day was to Rasheeda's loyal supporter, her sister, her lifeline. Rasheeda's loyal supporter. I can't keep pretending everything is fine. This secret, this betrayal, it's consuming me, she whispered, her voice trembling with frustration and exhaustion. Rasheeda's loyal supporter, always the grounded one, replied with steady reassurance, Rasheeda. Breathe. You're stronger than they think. Don't let anyone push you into a corner. We'll face this together. Step by step. Trust yourself. With Rasheeda's loyal supporters' support, Rasheeda made her way to the hotel lobby. The very same place where so many truths had been revealed and confrontations had flared. Kirk was already there, his posture stiff, hands clasped in front of him, trying to appear calm but failing. The air between them was thick, each second stretching into eternity. Rasheeda, he began cautiously, we need to settle this. All of it. Nothing left unsaid. Rasheeda's gaze pierced him. Then start talking. Everything. No excuses, no Her voice was low but fierce, carrying the weight of every betrayal she had endured. Kirk swallowed hard, exhaling slowly. As if preparing for a confession he knew would alter the course of their relationship forever. Kendra. She came to me, he began, voice wavering slightly. She was upset, needed guidance. I didn't think it would be a problem. One didn't plan for any of this. I never meant to hurt you. Rasheeda's hands clenched into fists. So you let her in anyway? You let her disrupt our life. You let Jasmine's rumors run wild without stopping them. Her tone rose, but her control was still razor-sharp, every word carefully calculated despite the storm inside her. The argument escalated quickly, emotions raw and unfiltered. Voices rose, fell, and trembled, a chaotic symphony of anger, hurt, and confusion. Each denial Kirk made seemed to ignite another spark of fury. And every plea for understanding from him only fueled Rasheeda's frustration. Outside the lobby, whispers of the drama had already reached the public. Social media users dissected every movement, every word, every gesture, turning their private confrontation into a viral spectacle. Fans were polarized, some defending Rasheeda, some defending Kirk, and some simply watching, entertained by the unfolding chaos. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag KendraGate. Hashtag RASHEEDA is done. Hashtag Kirk exposed. Hashtag Jasmine chaos. Hashtag family drama. Every notification pinged like a reminder of how public and relentless the storm had become. As the confrontation continued, Rasheeda realized the truth was more tangled than she had imagined. Kendra's explanations, Kirk's justifications, Jasmine's provocations. They were threads of a larger web, each connected, each manipulating, each threatening to unravel everything she thought she knew. She needed a plan, a way to navigate this labyrinth without losing herself, without letting the anger consume her entirely. After hours of intense conversation, Rasheeda finally stepped back, physically and emotionally drained. She left the hotel lobby and retreated to her car, taking long, shuddering breaths, letting the cold air wash over her. She replayed every detail, every expression, every word, analyzing, strategizing, preparing for what came next. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside, and she knew the fight was far from over. Kirk followed, hesitant but determined, trying to bridge the widening gap. Rasheeda, please, we can fix this. We can figure it out together, he said, his voice pleading, almost desperate. We'll see, Rasheeda replied coldly, her eyes focused on the horizon. We'll see how this plays out. That evening, Rasheeda convened her inner circle, Rasheeda's loyal supporter, her closest friends, advisors, a private council in which she laid out every detail, every suspicion, every emotion. The room was tense, charged with energy, anticipation, and fear of the unknown. Each person contributed, offering perspectives, strategies, and warnings. The discussion lasted hours, every possibility dissected, every risk weighed. Rasheeda emerged with clarity and resolve, knowing that the next moves could determine not just her emotional survival, but the unity of her family. Meanwhile, Kendra and Jasmine were whispering behind closed doors, plotting their next moves. They were calculating, patient, and dangerous in their subtlety. Rasheeda sensed the presence of unseen games, hidden alliances, and betrayals waiting to reveal themselves. She knew vigilance was the only way to survive this storm. As night fell, Rasheeda sat alone, reflecting on the battles of the day. She realized that trust was fragile, loyalty fleeting, and emotions unpredictable. She made a silent vow. She would reclaim her narrative, confront every challenge, and refuse to be a pawn in anyone else's game. She would stand strong, measured, and unyielding, even as the chaos swirled around her. Her phone buzzed again, a cryptic message appearing on the screen. Rasheeda, tonight, meet me. Alone. Everything you think you know is only the beginning. Her pulse quickened. This message was a promise of revelations, a test of courage, and a potential explosion of drama. She knew the next encounter would be a turning point, and she braced herself, steeling her nerves for the unknown. Hours passed in restless preparation. Rasheeda reviewed every past interaction, considered every possible scenario, and visualized every outcome. The weight of anticipation pressed down, but she embraced it, knowing that power was in preparation, not reaction. The city outside glittered with lights, indifferent to the private battles raging inside her mind. Yet, she could feel the invisible gaze of the world, fans, family, friends watching, waiting, speculating. Every step she took, every decision she made, had the potential to ripple outward, igniting new fires and exposing hidden truths. Rasheeda knew that tonight would change everything. Secrets would surface, alliances would be tested, and loyalties revealed. She took a deep breath, readying herself for the confrontation that promised to shake the foundations of her world. The storm was far from over, but she would face it head-on, unflinching, determined, and with a fire that no betrayal, rumor, or manipulation could extinguish. The night was heavy with anticipation. Rasheeda's living room was dimly lit, shadows stretching across the walls as if echoing the storm raging inside her. She paced, phone in hand, rereading the mysterious text that had appeared earlier. Meet me. Alone. Everything you think you know is only the beginning. The words glowed on the screen like a dare, like a gauntlet thrown at her feet, challenging her to step into the unknown. She knew this could be a turning point, an opportunity to uncover truths or to walk straight into another layer of chaos. Hours passed, each tick of the clock stretching out like a drumbeat of tension. She thought about Kirk, about Kendra, about Jasmine, and about everyone who had played a part in the unfolding drama. Every word, every glance, every half-truth suddenly seemed interconnected. Like pieces of a puzzle she hadn't yet been able to see clearly, and she was determined to see it. She refused to let confusion or fear dictate her next move. Finally, she arrived at the agreed-upon location, a quiet, secluded park just outside the city. The streetlights cast pale halos on the asphalt, and the night air was thick with expectation. She stepped carefully, every sense alert, scanning for any sign of danger or deception. Somewhere in the darkness, she could feel the presence of someone watching, waiting. She was both scared and exhilarated, a mix of emotions that left her heart racing and palms clammy. From the shadows, a figure emerged. It was Jasmine, her expression calm, almost serene, but her eyes sharp, calculating. Rasheeda, she said softly, I told you everything you think you know is only the beginning. Rasheeda's gaze narrowed. What do you want, Jasmine? More chaos? More secrets? Jasmine shook her head. No, I want to show you the full picture. You've only seen fragments, bits and pieces. The story is bigger, more complicated. And tonight, you'll understand why things happened the way they did. Rasheeda felt a surge of tension. She didn't trust Jasmine, not entirely. But she also knew that if she walked away now, she'd never get the answers she craved. She nodded, signaling for Jasmine to continue. Jasmine led her to a nearby bench, sitting across from her, eyes fixed and intense. Kirk, Kendra, everyone. They've been playing roles you didn't see. The alliances, the secrets, the whispers, it's all part of a larger web. And I'm the one who knows the edges of it. But you need to see it for yourself. Rasheeda's mind raced. Every revelation, every confrontation from the past days suddenly felt like pieces of a puzzle. And Jasmine was holding the missing ones. She leaned in, heart pounding. Tell me, she demanded. I need the truth. All of it. And Jasmine began to speak. Slowly, carefully, each word dropping like a bomb, revealing hidden conversations, unseen betrayals, and unspoken tensions. Kirk hadn't lied completely, but he had withheld details. Kendra's motives weren't entirely pure, yet she hadn't intended complete harm. And the ripple effects of past actions, rumors, and miscommunications had created a tangled web, far more dangerous and emotional than Rasheeda had ever imagined. As the revelations poured out, Rasheeda's emotions spiraled: shock, disbelief, anger, and an unexpected flicker of understanding. She realized that the drama wasn't just about one act, one betrayal, or one person. It was a culmination of years of tangled relationships, unspoken grievances, and the intricate dance of loyalty, desire, and ego. By the time Jasmine finished, Rasheeda was breathless, her mind spinning with the enormity of what she had just learned. The stakes had shifted, and the narrative she thought she understood was now completely rewritten. She felt both empowered and terrified, aware that every decision she made next would carry unprecedented consequences. She stood, letting the night air wash over her, processing the revelations. Somewhere deep inside, she felt the stirrings of determination. The storm outside mirrored the storm within her, unpredictable, intense, and powerful. She knew that this was far from over. More confrontations awaited, more secrets lurked in the shadows, and the balance of trust, love, and loyalty would be tested like never before. As she walked home, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. The city seemed alive, every distant car horn, every rustling tree, every flickering streetlight adding to the suspense. She knew the drama would continue to unfold, in ways more shocking and unpredictable than anyone could anticipate. And somewhere, Jasmine, Kirk, and Kendra were already plotting their next moves. Unaware of how Rasheeda had grown stronger, sharper, more determined, the tension between them promised more confrontations, more explosive revelations, and more twists that would leave everyone breathless. Rasheeda reached her front door, paused, and took a deep breath. She knew that the coming days would test her in ways she couldn't yet imagine. But she also knew one thing with certainty. She wouldn't be a passive participant in this drama. She would take control of her story, confront every secret, and face every betrayal head-on. The night closed around her, heavy, mysterious, and charged with possibility. The storm had only intensified, and Rasheeda, standing at the center, was ready to face it, unflinching, unbroken, and with a fire that no one, not even Jasmine or Kendra, could extinguish. The following morning, Rasheeda woke with a sense of urgency she couldn't shake. The revelations from the previous night replayed endlessly in her mind, each new detail adding weight to the chaos she was already navigating. She moved through her house almost mechanically, coffee in hand, eyes scanning the room as if she could find answers hidden in the shadows. Kirk had sent multiple texts, each one pleading, apologetic, explanatory, but she didn't reply. She needed space, clarity, and a plan that would protect her heart and her family. She decided it was time to confront Kendra directly again. This confrontation would not be casual. She needed clarity, accountability, and truth. The drive to Kendra's apartment felt endless, each red light and honk amplifying her anticipation. When she arrived, Kendra was already waiting in the doorway, casual and composed, though Rasheeda could see the tension hidden beneath her calm exterior. "Rasheeda," Kendra began, "I know things are complicated, but we need to clear the air, once and for all." Rasheeda's eyes narrowed. "Then start talking. No more excuses, no more half-truths. Everything now." Kendra sighed, stepping aside to let Rasheeda in. "You have to understand, Rasheeda, none of this was planned. The hotel, the secrets, the whispers. Everything spiraled faster than I could control. I never meant to hurt you, but I admit, I made choices that complicated things." Rasheeda's anger flared, voice rising. "You think complicated is enough? You think that fixes the betrayal, the trust broken, the chaos you caused?" The conversation grew heated quickly, voices rising and falling, filled with frustration, anger, and unspoken fears. They recounted every interaction, dissected every message, and confronted every misunderstanding. Each revelation brought new waves of emotion, shaking the fragile foundation of their relationship and forcing both women to confront uncomfortable truths. Meanwhile, Jasmine was observing from the sidelines, carefully noting reactions, whispers, and the subtle shifts in body language. She knew how to play the long game, to manipulate situations with precision, and she was already anticipating the next move Rasheeda might make. The tension in the room was palpable, electric, as if every second carried the weight of potential explosions. Outside, social media continued its relentless buzz. Fans dissected every new clip, screenshot, and comment. Hashtags evolved, trending lists expanded, and the drama seemed to take on a life of its own. Hashtag Kendragate, hashtag Rasheeda is done, hashtag Kirk exposed, hashtag Jasmine chaos, hashtag Familadrama. The digital storm mirrored the emotional one unfolding behind closed doors. After hours of intense conversation, Rasheeda emerged with a sense of clarity and purpose. She had pieced together the fragmented truths, understood the motives, and seen the alliances forming behind her back. She knew that the next steps required strategic thinking, emotional resilience, and unwavering determination. Kirk appeared shortly after, hesitating at the threshold, unsure of how to approach Rasheeda. She met his gaze steadily. "Kirk, everything has changed. Secrets have surfaced. Loyalties have been tested. Now we decide how to move forward. Carefully, deliberately, truthfully." Kirk nodded, swallowing hard. "I understand." I'll do whatever it takes. Rasheeda's phone buzzed again. Another cryptic message. Rasheeda, what you see now is just the surface. Deeper truths await. Be ready. Her pulse quickened. She realized that this story, the drama, the betrayal, and the chaos were far from over. More revelations, more confrontations, and more twists were coming, each one capable of shaking her world further. She spent the evening preparing herself, mentally and emotionally. She reviewed every interaction, anticipated every possible scenario, and resolved to face each challenge with strength, clarity, and control. The storm around her, fueled by friends, family, and social media, raged on, but she refused to let it consume her. She would navigate it, master it, and emerge stronger. The night grew late, and the city seemed to pulse with energy, reflecting the tension that had become her life. She knew that tomorrow would bring more revelations, more drama, and more opportunities to assert control over her story. She was ready, and as she closed her eyes, she vowed silently, no matter the betrayals, the secrets, or the chaos, she would not be broken. She would face every challenge, confront every truth, and reclaim her narrative, proving to herself and everyone watching that Rasheeda was unyielding, unshakable, and unstoppable. The following morning, Rasheeda woke with a restless energy that refused to let her sleep. The revelations of the past days weighed on her like a storm cloud, and every message, every whisper, every shadow of doubt replayed in her mind. She knew that today would be crucial, another confrontation, another chance to reclaim control of the chaos that had overtaken her life. She decided to meet Kirk first. The drive to his office felt surreal, the city around her buzzing with ordinary life while her own world was anything but ordinary. She rehearsed what she would say, every word carefully chosen, every emotion measured. When she arrived, Kirk was already waiting, seated behind his desk, hands folded, eyes wary. Rasheeda, he began cautiously, we need to talk. Openly, honestly, no more secrets. Rasheeda leaned against the edge of his desk, her gaze sharp. Then start talking. Everything. Now, and don't sugarcoat a thing. Kirk exhaled, running a hand through his hair. Kendra, she came to me upset. She needed guidance. She didn't plan for anything else to happen. But yes, she was there. I should have been transparent from the start. I should have stopped the chaos before it began. Rasheeda's eyes narrowed. You should have trusted me enough to tell the truth. Instead, you let this fester. Let rumors spread. Let Jasmine manipulate every angle. The conversation escalated quickly, voices rising and falling, charged with anger, hurt, and confusion. Each revelation seemed to fuel another wave of emotion, and the tension in the room thickened with every passing second. Kirk pleaded for understanding, but Rasheeda's heart was guarded, her trust fractured, and her mind sharp with the lessons of the past days. After hours of intense discussion, they reached a tenuous understanding. Kirk admitted every detail he could, explained every choice, and acknowledged the mistakes that had fueled the drama. Rasheeda, though still angry and cautious, felt a flicker of clarity. The storm was not over, but she could navigate it with eyes wide open, aware of the terrain, ready for the next moves. Later, Rasheeda received another unexpected visitor. Kendra, standing at her front door, eyes solemn but determined. Rasheeda motioned her inside, wary but willing to listen. Rasheeda, Kendra began, I know the chaos has been overwhelming, but we need to face the truth together. Hiding, pretending, or deflecting won't help either of us. Rasheeda took a deep breath. Then tell me everything, Kendra. No half-truths. No excuses. I need the real story. Kendra nodded, recounting every interaction, every misstep, every choice that had led to the escalating drama. She admitted moments of poor judgment, miscommunication, and hidden emotions that had complicated everything. Rasheeda listened carefully, anger mingling with understanding, her mind racing to piece together the full picture. Meanwhile, Jasmine was plotting quietly, observing, waiting for an opportunity to tip the scales again. Rasheeda sensed the subtle manipulations, the unseen games, and she knew vigilance was her only defense. She could not allow anyone else to dictate her emotions, her choices, or her narrative. As the afternoon wore on, Rasheeda convened her trusted circle once more. They strategized, planned, and discussed every possible scenario. Every conversation, every revelation, every rumor was analyzed, and Rasheeda emerged with renewed determination. She would face every challenge head on, confront every secret, and take control of the story that had been spiraling beyond her control. Night fell, and the city seemed to hum with anticipation, mirroring the tension in Rasheeda's heart. She felt the invisible gaze of friends, family, and fans, each waiting for her next move. each expecting drama, confrontation, and revelation. She knew she could not disappoint, and more importantly, she would not falter. Her phone buzzed again, a cryptic message from an unknown number. Rasheeda, the final pieces are coming. Are you ready? Her pulse quickened. The message promised new revelations, new confrontations, and more twists that could change everything. She knew that the coming days would test her resolve, her strength, and her ability to command the narrative. Rasheeda sat alone in her living room, reflecting on the whirlwind of the past week. She thought about loyalty, betrayal, love, and trust, the delicate threads that connected her life. Now tangled, stretched, and tested, she realized that the next steps would define her, that the choices she made now could alter relationships, reputations, and the course of her life forever. With determination burning in her chest, she made a silent vow: no matter the secrets, the lies, or the chaos, she would not be broken. She would face every truth, confront every betrayal, and reclaim her story with strength, courage, and unyielding resolve. And somewhere, in the shadows of the city, Kirk, Kendra, and Jasmine were already maneuvering, plotting, and anticipating the next chapter of the drama. Rasheeda knew that each of them would test her, push her, and challenge her in ways she couldn't yet imagine. But she was ready, she was vigilant, and she was unstoppable. The night stretched on, heavy and charged, the perfect backdrop for the next explosive chapter in the saga that had captivated everyone watching. Rasheeda, standing at the center of the storm, was ready to face it, unflinching, unbroken, and determined to emerge victorious. The next day dawned with a tense, almost electric energy. Rasheeda could feel the weight of everything pressing down on her: the secrets, the lies, the half-truths, and the simmering betrayals. She moved through her morning routine with deliberate calm, but inside, her mind raced. Every step, every decision, every word she would speak today could shift the balance of the chaos that had engulfed her life. She decided it was time to take control publicly, to reclaim the narrative before Jasmine, Kendra, or even Kirk could manipulate it further. She scheduled a private meeting with her closest allies, mapping out every angle, anticipating every possible move from her adversaries. They discussed strategy, messaging, and timing, analyzing every interaction, every social media post, every whisper of rumor. Rasheeda's resolve hardened. She would face the storm on her terms. Meanwhile, word had already spread among friends and family. Whispers of the drama traveled quickly, reaching ears that had no business hearing them. Tension ran high as alliances subtly shifted, loyalties tested, and every relationship became a chessboard of strategy, manipulation, and survival. Rasheeda sensed the presence of unseen forces, subtle manipulations, and hidden agendas that could strike at any moment. She could not afford to falter. Later that afternoon, she decided to confront Jasmine directly. The meeting was set at a secluded cafe, chosen for its privacy and lack of prying eyes. When Rasheeda arrived, Jasmine was already there, sipping coffee calmly, but her eyes betrayed the anticipation of a battle. "Rasheeda," Jasmine began, voice smooth but loaded with tension, "I know you're angry, but you need to understand, this is bigger than any one of us. You've only seen fragments. The truth, it's deeper, more complicated, and it's going to change everything you think you know." Rasheeda's jaw tightened. "Then tell me everything. No half-truths. No games. I want it all, now." Jasmine smiled faintly, leaning back. "Very well, but be prepared. Some truths are more dangerous than lies, and some betrayals cut deeper than you expect." And with that, Jasmine began her tale, weaving a story of hidden motives, secret meetings, and manipulated perceptions. She revealed the subtle ways alliances had shifted, the ways that Kirk and Kendra's interactions had been misinterpreted, and how rumors had been intentionally seeded to create chaos. Rasheeda listened, alternating between disbelief, anger, and reluctant understanding. The conversation escalated quickly, voices rising and falling, each revelation layering new complexity onto the already tangled web of relationships. Rasheeda demanded clarity, pressed for specifics, and refused to accept vague explanations. Jasmine, in turn, pushed boundaries, testing Rasheeda's patience, probing for weaknesses, and subtly reminding her that the storm was far from over. Outside the cafe, the digital world mirrored the tension. Fans speculated endlessly on social media, piecing together rumors, clips, and leaked conversations. Hashtags evolved, new ones trending by the minute, creating a frenzy of opinions, debates, and accusations. Hashtag Kendragate, hashtag Rasheeda is done, hashtag Kirk exposed. Jasmine chaos. Each one a reflection of the storm raging in Rasheeda's life. After hours of intense discussion, Rasheeda emerged with a clearer understanding of the forces at play, but also with the realization that the battles were only just beginning. She had uncovered hidden truths, seen the manipulations for what they were, and recognized the depth of the emotional warfare surrounding her. She returned home, emotionally drained but resolute. She knew the next steps were critical: confront Kirk again, address Kendra, and prepare for the inevitable public fallout. Every action had to be precise, calculated, and controlled. Rasheeda understood that one misstep could undo everything she had fought to understand and command. The evening brought another surprise: an anonymous message, cryptic and loaded with promise. Rasheeda, the final truths await. Be ready to face them, alone. Her pulse quickened. The message hinted at revelations that could topple the fragile structures of trust, loyalty, and control she had been trying to rebuild. She spent the night preparing, reviewing every detail, every interaction, every potential scenario. She steeled herself emotionally, mentally, and strategically. The storm outside continued unabated, fueled by social media speculation, family tensions, and the unpredictable actions of her adversaries. But Rasheeda was no longer passive. She would face every challenge, every confrontation, and every secret with unflinching determination. As midnight approached, she sat by the window, staring at the city lights, aware that the coming hours would define the trajectory of the drama. She was prepared to confront the final pieces, to demand accountability, and to reclaim control of her narrative. And though the storm was far from over, she felt a surge of power, a realization that she was no longer a victim of circumstance, rumor, or betrayal. She was the center of the story, the orchestrator of her own destiny, and the storm would bend to her will.